Hello everyone, happy Workers Day. So today you have me, Uyanda, and I will be taking you through this question, which is question 2. This is fairly like a very easy question. So if you ever get something like this in your exams, wow, you should be able to get a distinction. I know it's out of 50 marks. Are you ready? Okay, let's go through the question together. Okay, so this is a manufacturing question. Okay, so here we are going to be dealing with Abe accessories. Okay, so let's go through the reading together. Okay, here they're saying Abe accessories manufactures what? Cell phone covers, right? Okay, the information below is in respect of financial year ended on which date? On the 29th of February 2016, right? Okay, so the required information here, they're saying 2.1.1. We need to do what? Prepare the prepare the factory overhead cost note. And then we have to do what? Show all calculations in brackets. So we just need to do what? Show all calculations in brackets, right? As we are working through our factory overhead cost note. Okay, do you still remember what a factory overhead cost note consists of? It actually consists of all other costs that are related to the production but indirectly related as per se. Remember, if ever we have anything to do with labor is split into two usually, right? One is for direct labor and the other one is for indirect labor. So everything indirectly related, such as your factory cleaners, sundry expenses and all these other things that are related to the factory but not directly related per se, we will just put them here in our factory overhead cost note. Okay, let's go through it without wasting any time. So here you have a workbook, right? And then in your workbook here you were given how you were supposed to write down your factory overhead cost notes, right? Okay, I'm just gonna go through the first one and then we just move step by step basically. Ready? Okay, so here we have the workbook. So you have this in front of you, or maybe you've already filled it up. Okay, oops. Okay, so I will go back to the information provided. So here we are given information and we have what? We have the work in progress stock for January 2016 as well as March 2015. So this is more like our opening balance. Opening balance in this accounting period, right? And then this is our closing week. So WIP is more like work in progress. Okay, let's go through everything else. So the first thing that we'll have to consider in terms of note number B here. So note number B is what? The transactions for the year ended 29 February 2016. So here we have what? Consumable stores used in the factory. So here this is what? This is a direct cost that is affecting what? It's affecting our factory. So we will just have to consider it in terms of our factory or overhead note. So this is our first item that we are going to include. So we just put in okay, I'm going back to my workbook. So in my workbook, I'll put in the first thing, and the first thing is what? Is consumable stores. So I'm just going to write consumable stores. Okay, so how much is the consumable stores? Do you still remember? The consumable stores is actually 129,300. Okay, so we have the consumable stores. Then the next thing that we need to put in here is what? Is the salaries and wages. So here we have what? We have something relating to production wages. So production wages is not part of our factory overhead cost. Why? because it's a direct cost, right? So the production, it's more like your direct labor, the people who are more what is it more they work basically with the product directly, you get it? So we'll skip that one. And yeah, there's a question mark, so chances are there might be a question where we have to work it out anyway. So here now we are in our other so now this one is for other factory workers. Other factory workers, obviously this is relating to what? To what is it? To our factory overhead, because remember, factory overhead includes all the other indirect things, but they relate to what? To the factory. Okay, so this is 97,500. Okay, it looks like there is extra information here in note number C, relating to the what is it? Other factory workers. And then here they're saying the factory cleaner was omitted. Remember, the word omitted means what? Left out, right? Or just, yeah, missing, something like that. You get it? From the salaries and wages list for February 2016. And then they're saying her details are as follows, right? So this is what we have about this person's salary that was not included in the 97,500 for what? For other factory workers. Okay, so we notice here that the other factory worker is a what? Is a factory cleaner. Okay, so this person's gross salary is 3,800, right? And then also remember, when we are focusing on like the what is it in terms of like the salaries, when we record them, remember we record it on gross, like the gross salary, because this is what we pay the person. We pay the person the 3,800, and we're not paying the person after deduction, which is the net salary. This is what the person gets, but this is what comes out of our own books. You get it? So this comes out of our own books, and then the employer's contribution also comes out of our books. You get it? So this and this affect our account as a business. So they do what? They reduce our balances per se as a business, not this. Okay, so this is not applicable, right? And this is not applicable. Remember, net salary is only applicable when this person file their own ledgers individually, right? But this is what is applicable when we are filing our books. This came out of our business, it came out from us, clear? Okay, so now we will have to work out this thing. So obviously it was omitted, so it's more like an accrued expense, right? An expense that happened but we didn't take into account. So we have to do what? Add it. So we have to add it to the 97,500. Okay, so we would say here other factory salary, whatever, it's up to you, factory salaries. So this will be like 97,500, right? And then we say plus 3,800 plus 3,800, right? And then we say what? Plus what? We say plus the employer contribution, which is 380, and then add everything together, and then we have a total here. So what's the total here? The total is going to be 101,680. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. So the next screencast that I'm going to send to you will be focusing on the next part of the production cost statement. Okay, let's continue where we left off. Okay, so now we are done with the other factory salaries, which was 101,680. Okay, so the next step now is to go back to the information. Okay, so we have done this The next step now is what? Is the sundry expenses. Okay, we have sundry expenses, which is factory, and the factory is for 31,500. So there's no other additional information regarding the sundry expenses. So we're just going to put it as it is. Okay, sundry expenses. Okay, sundry. So you will write it down there, obviously. Sundry expenses. Okay, and then put in the amount. The amount is 31,500, right? Okay, 31,500. Okay, let's go back and see. Okay, so we're done with sundry expenses, which is the one that has to do with what? With factory, and not this one that has to do with offices, right? Same as not this one that has to do with administration. This for sales is also not applicable. Remember, we're only focusing on the things that are related to what? To the factory. Okay, so we are done with that. Now we are moving on to what? Electricity, water and electricity. So this is related. Are subjected to what? We have to check under the information if there's anything that we need to consider before we move on to the question directly. Okay, so here they're saying an amount of 4,000. Okay, so this is an amount of 4,000. It's what? It's still outstanding. So if it's outstanding, what do we call this type of an expense in accounting? This is usually a what? An accrued expense, right? It's an expense that we did incur, right? But we still haven't paid it, right? However, when we are compiling our books for the accounting period, we'll have to consider it as part of this accounting period, because anyway we did incur the cost for this year, we just haven't paid it yet. You get it? So we have to do what? We have to add it to the balance that we had at the top. So this is 4,000 rand, and then they're saying the factory uses 60% of the water and electricity. I like this. So here they've specified that fine, we have outstanding cost, which is 4,000, right? But also, don't forget that out of the total amount of money for our electricity, 60% of it is for what? Is for the factory. You get it? Okay, don't forget this. We have 4,000. We also have what? 60%. Okay, so let's see how much we have here. So this is 50,000. So we are going back to our worksheet. So in our worksheet here, we'll put in what? Put in water and electricity. Okay, water and electricity. Okay, and then we can do our workings already. So if we say 50,000, right, plus what? Plus 4,000, right? Okay, so we have 50,000 plus 4,000. Obviously you get what? Get 54,000, right? Okay, to save space, I'm just gonna close my bracket here, and then after closing my bracket, I'll say what? Multiplied by what? Multiplied by 60, right? Because we are looking for 60% of this, which is related to what? To the factory. Then divided by what? By 100, because this is a what? This is a percentage. Okay, so if I say 54,000 multiplied by 60 over 100, the answer that I'm getting is 32,400. Okay, so the answer here is 32,400. 32,000, okay, 400. Okay, is this clear for you? Okay, let's continue and do the last one, which is insurance. Okay, I will write down here insurance and go back to the scenarios and see if is there anything that I need to take into account. So insurance. Okay, so I have insurance here, and then what do? I go back to my scenarios, and then here insurance. Oh, fine, we have what? We have 24,000. Remember, it's 24,000 for insurance. I put my tick there, right? Okay, so let's go to the scenarios. The scenarios, they say that insurance has been paid from 1st of March 2015 2015. So this is in the beginning of our accounting period. We started paying the insurance. Until when? Until for what? For the 30th of June 2016. So this is what? This in accounting, we call this type of expense what? Because we paid, so it's coming out of our accounts, right? So this is a what? This is a prepayment. Okay, let me change my pink. I love pink. Okay, so I'll say prepaid. So this is a prepaid, right? This is a prepayment or prepaid expense, right? Okay, so now the next step is to do what? Use the information given to make sense of everything, right? Okay, so this is a prepaid, as we said. For how long? Remember, the accounting period for this is it ends on the 29th of February every year, right? So it means what? From 1 March 2015 to 29th February 2016. That's a 12 months period, right? So we have additional months here. Additional months we calculate from what? We say March, April, May, June. Okay, count them in your hands. You'll notice that this is how many months? This is actually 16 months, because when we start from February is the 12th month, right? And then March is the 13th month, April is the 14th month, right? And then May is the 15th month, right? And then June, because it ends on where here they're saying we've paid for until 30th of June. So this is like 4 more months, 4 extra months, right? So in total, this is what? This is 16 months. Okay, so basically this, if I was to work it out, the 24,000, so I'll actually say what? I'll say here, open my bracket and say 24,000. Okay, 24,000, right? And then divide it by 16 months. So I paid this amount for a period of 16 months, right? Okay, and then do what? Multiply it by what? By 12. Why am I multiplying it by 12? I'm actually saying, though I have divided this amount for 16 months and I wanted to find out how much was it per month, I noticed that, okay, obviously if you put this in your calculator, you should be able to get 1,500. So we were paying 1,500 rand per month, right? And then multiplying it by 12 is because of what? Now I want to see in a period of 12 months, how much of the 24,000 was for only 12 months. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so if you do that in your calculator, you should be able to get 18,000 rand. So the answer here is 18,000 rands. Okay, don't forget, we're not done with the question. We still need to go back to the transactions to make sense of everything. Okay, so I'm going back to my transactions. Oops, what happened here? Okay, anyway, so I'm going back to my transactions here, and they're saying these expense must be allocated to factory, administration, and sales department in the ratio 3:2:1 respectively. You get it? Okay, so if I was to make sense of this thing here, so basically we have what here? We have factory. Oops, let me change the color. We have factory is to what? Is to administrative, right? I'll just write admin to save space. Is to admin. Then we say is to sales. You get it? So underneath this, I'll actually write what? I'll write 3. Okay. 3 is to what? Admin. For admin is 2, right? Okay. And then underneath this, I'll write what? I'll write 1. So the 3 is related to what? To the factory, right? The 2 is related to what? To the admin, right? The 1 is related to what? To the sales, right? Okay, so to get the total here, so the total here is most likely to be, okay, let's just say here, basically, in this scenario, we can say that if you add factory, admin, and sales, you should be able to get what? You should be able to get like the total, which is the 18,000. You get it? Remember, we're no longer working with 24,000. It's out of the way. 24,000 included extra months that are not related to this year. So we were able to work out what is related to this year, and that was what? That was 18,000 rands. Okay, so now we will say this is equals to 18,000. Remember, you don't have to put this. I'm just writing this for clarity, so you understand this thing better and you're able to do it on your own. Okay, so basically we are saying out of the 18,000, we have a portion for factory, which is 3. We have what? We have a portion for administrative, which is 2. And then we have what? We have a portion for sales, which is 1. You get it? So if you work this thing out, the next step now will be to add the ratio. So if you say the ratio, which is 3 plus 2, right? Plus 1. You should be able to get what? You get 6, right? So this 6 is equivalent to what? To the 18 that we were able to work out at the top, right? So now that you have the total ratio, you should be able to work out the portion for factory. So the next step now, to get the portion for factory, you will just take the portion for factory, which is 3, right? And then you divide the portion for factory by the total of the portions, right? And then you do what? You multiply the portions by what? You multiply the portions by the 18,000 rands. Okay, let's do that. Multiply by 18,000 rands. You get it. And your final answer here should be 9,000 rands. Okay. There are many ways to kill a cat. So basically, there are many ways to answer this question. Anyway, I'm not saying we should kill cats, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, so next step now is to go back to my workings. Okay, I am here, and then remember the last answer that we had was 18,000 rand. So I'll just say on the 18,000 rand, multiply by what? Multiply by 3 over 6. And then the answer is 9,000 rands. Okay, so I'll just write 9,000 rands. Okay, so I've put everything here. So basically the next step now is to add everything. So you just say consumable stores plus other factory salaries plus sundry expenses plus water and electricity plus insurance. And then your final answer here for your factory overhead cost note is 330,000. Okay, it's 303,880. So here we go. You have your final answer. So your next screencast will focus on the production cost statement. Okay, so now we are moving on to the second question. So the second question is 2.1.2. They're saying prepare the production cost statement for the year ended the 29th February 2016. Okay, if you still remember what is a production statement, is that like it records the 3 most important things, right? Which is your direct material cost, your direct labor cost, as well as what? As well as your factory overhead cost. So these are the 3 major statements. Basically, you have what? You have direct labor cost, you have direct material cost, and then you have what? You have your factory overhead. And then you also remember that your prime cost is what? Is comprised of all your direct things, basically, to make it sound more proper. So prime cost is actually what? Direct material plus direct labor cost. Okay. So already they've put in the figure here for the direct material, right? So let's see if we can put in the figures. Okay, I've noticed that we don't have all the information for this statement. So it basically means what? It means that we might have to work out some figures for us to be able to complete this thing. Okay. Okay, so let's just put in the things that are not put here, like complete the statement. You get it? So we have what? We have the cost of production of finished goods here. They've inserted it. So we'll put in here our WIP. Remember, WIP is what? Is our work in progress. So we say work in progress. Remember, always make sure that you know the statement by heart. the more you practice, the more you will remember this statement. Know it, practice it, cram it actually until you know it. So that like if ever you are presented with this type of a question in your exams, you don't have to scramble and try to figure out how a production cost statement is structured. You get it? So here I will put in my work in progress in the beginning, right? At the beginning. Okay, so I have everything now inserted here. So the next thing now is to do what? Put in the figures. Okay, let's start with the work in progress because I've already put them here. So we just put in the numbers. Okay, I'll go back to my information. Okay, so here in the information we were given the work in progress here as per se. So 30,640 is what is our opening balance, and then 9,320 is our closing or our work in progress at the end. Okay, let's put them into the statements. Okay, so work in progress in the beginning, we'll just put it here. We'll just go to the question, and then so remember how much was it? Sorry, I'm a bit distracted, but now I'm back. Okay, so here work in progress at the beginning was 30,640. Okay, we're putting the obvious. Remember, you can get marks for this. Let's say you don't have a lot of time remaining in your exam, so always do what? State the obvious first. You get it? So even if like they say time is up, you know that you've already put in the obvious and you'll get marks for it anyway. You get it? Okay, so we put in the work in progress in the beginning and work in progress at the end. Remember, the end will have to be what? It has to be minus. So we'll just put it in brackets. Okay, I forgot to put the brackets there, so we'll just put in the brackets here. Okay, the bracket, they represent what? They represent a minus, right? Okay. Anyway, I tried. Okay, and then put the brackets this side too. So these brackets, they represent what? They represent like we are minusing this number. It's a negative number, right? As you know. Okay, so I've put in my brackets. The next step now is to do what? Put in the numbers for my factory overhead. Remember, we were able to work out our factory overhead cost, right? This is the factory overhead. So the factory overhead that you were able to work out at the top here, we'll just put it in here as it is. So we just put in the factory overhead, which is 303. I keep saying 330. 303, then 880. Awesome. So we put this here. So the next step now is to do what? Put in the last remaining thing. So the last remaining thing here that we are able to work out is the cost of production of finished goods, right? Okay, let's see if we're given any information with this one. Okay, so here on terms of the last note given here, they're saying the business manufactured 10,500 cell phone covers at a cost of what? Of 82 rand 40 per unit. So this is what? This is the cost of what? Of the unit produced. This is at the end. So we realized that this business was actually successful in like manufacturing the cell phone covers, and they were actually able to come up with 10,500 cell phone covers at a cost of 82 rand 40. So basically this is our cost of production of finished goods. So this will be applied like this here. So here we'll say 82,040, right? Multiplied by what? Multiplied by how many cell phones? 10,500. These are cell phone covers. Sorry, I actually said cell phones. Okay, so now this is the information that I have here. Okay, this space is too small for my workings. Okay, I'm just gonna put it down there. You get it? I think that's easy. Actually, let me see if I can just move this thing. Oh, perfect. Okay, I've moved this working down here. Okay, if you say 82,000 for 240 multiplied by 10,500. The final answer here should be 800. Okay, it should be 865,200. Okay, so now I have all the information, right? Okay, so the next step now is to do what? Is to work with what I was able to come up. So this is what I have now. So there are still missing things, right? The missing things that are here, I need to work out my total cost of production, which is missing. I also need to, I need to work out this one. Oops, I don't like the color. Let me use red. Okay, so I need to work this one out. And I also need to work out the prime cost as well as the direct labor cost. Remember, we don't have anything relating to the direct labor cost. If you remember here, in terms of the information, we're only given what? We're only given the production wages. Production wages, they're saying here, they've actually left it as what? Question mark, right? So we need to solve it. We need to work it out for us to be able to find it. You get it? I don't know if it makes sense. So we don't have this one here. This is the one that we do not have. So we have to work it out there. Okay. So now I have all this. So the next step now is to get what? Get the total here. So to get the total here, I will do what? I will say 865,200 plus 9,320. Why do I add it? It's because previously for us to find this one at the end, we subtracted this. So if we're working backward, we have to add it back. So the final answer here, the one that is here at the top, is going to be 865,200 plus this one, and then the answer is 874,520. At any given point, you are allowed to pause the video and just do the calculations from your calculator. Okay, and then we working backward. Now when we have to get the total cost of production here, we'll have to do what? We have to minus this one. Remember, for us to get this one, we did what? We actually added this one. So it was like this one here plus this one, and then we got this one. So if we have to go back, we have to do what? Say this one minus this one, and we get this one here. So if you say 874,520 minus 30,640, the answer that you're getting is let me work it out in my calculator, is 843,000. Oops. 843,000, then 880. Cool, easy, right? Okay, so the next step now is to do what? Find the prime cost. Okay, so again, we'll do the same thing. For us to get the prime cost, we have to do what? Say this one minus this one, and we get what? We get the prime cost. Remember, for us to have gotten the 843 something, we actually did what? We actually added this one. So now to go back, we have to do what? Minus it. So to minus it, if you say 843,000 something something minus 303,000 something something, you should be able to get 540,000. Okay, 540,000. Okay, so now we have what? We have our prime cost or direct cost, right? So we're almost done with our question basically. So the next step now is to do what? Find the what? The direct labor. So this is our balancing figure. You get it? So our balancing figure is what? Is the direct labor cost. So this is balancing. So balancing. Okay, so to get the balancing figure, obviously now we'll just say prime cost minus material cost, right? Direct material. So if we minus this, because for us to get this one, we actually said direct labor plus direct material. So we are working back. You have to do what? Minus the 2 and get the answer. So the balancing number is going to be 190, because if you say 540,000 minus 350,000, the final answer is 190,000. Okay, so you have your final answer here. So this is the total 8 marks. I understand like accounting can be a very tricky. Like they demand a lot from you and not give you a lot of marks sometimes. And then sometimes they don't demand a lot and they will give you a lot of marks. So anyway, my advice for you is to always work hard in every question. Okay, we're done with this question. The next one is the second question that we were focusing on. Okay. Okay, so now we are doing 2.2. So here they're saying this is what new fashion manufacturers. Okay, so this is the name, right? New fashion manufacturers. So they're saying this business is owned by what? By Gloria Smith. Oops. Okay, by Gloria Smith. Okay, she makes and sell what? Dresses. Okay, and then they're saying the financial year ends on 29 February 2016. Right, and then they're saying the required. What is the required? They're saying Gloria is concerned about the wastage of direct material. Okay, and then they say we need to do what? Calculate the number of what? Of meters of fabric that was wasted. So basically, what are they looking for in this question? They need us to do what? Calculate the what? The meters of what? Waste, right? For what? Just the meters of the waste. You get it? And then they're saying Clara feels that the wastage is what is significant, and then give a calculation to support her opinion. Okay, we're not gonna mix things up so that like we don't want to confuse people, right? So we are going to split it up like this. Obviously start with the first bullet point and then move on to the next bullet point. So now we just need to do what? Calculate the number of meters of fabric that was wasted. Easy, right? Okay, so here we have what? We have the information. We have been given the information, and then here they're saying the direct materials is what? They're saying 2,5 meters of fabric is used to make each dress. So 2.5 meters is to one dress. You get it? So that's the ratio basically. Here it's what? 2. Oops, I'm using my pink and it's a bit too light. Okay, so 2.5 is to one dress. Okay, 2.5 meters is to one dress. So this is more like the ratio that we use here, right? So here we're given what? We're given the opening stock. The stock is what? Is the number of meters of fabric, right? And then we have what? We have the purchases, the meters that were bought during the year, right? And then we have what? We have raw materials issued to factory. We don't know like how many of them are issued to factory, right? But we can work it out using the information given. And then we have what? We have closing stock, which is what? The meters that were remaining at the end of what? The accounting period. Okay, so that's clear, right? And then we have what? We have the production levels, right? Production levels for 2 years, 2015 and 2016. That's clear. And then we are given what? We're given the total number of units produced and sold, right? And then down here we have what? Break even point. These things are clear, right? Okay, and then lastly here we're given what? Additional information, which is sales, fixed cost, a variable cost. So this side is what? The totals versus the unit cost. Okay, so now let me reread the question one more time. The question says what? Clara is concerned about the wastage of direct materials. Calculate the number of meters of fabric that was wasted. You get it? So they're saying Clara feels that the wastage is significant. Significant, maybe it's big. Okay, so we will not know that unless we do the first one first, right? Okay, so now we are calculating the wastage. Okay, how to calculate the wastage here? Okay, we are given the workbook. So here we have to calculate the wastage. Okay, so for us to be able to calculate the wastage here, you need to remember that how we can work it out. So we have what here? We actually have okay, let me check my things. We have the used material versus what they should have been used, right? Okay, I'm just gonna do it differently. So I'll just write down here used. Okay, let me use a different color. I'm going to use red. Okay, let's say used material. Okay, material. And then down here I'll write what? Should have. So we have what? We have what has been used and what should have been used. You get it? Okay, what has been used, how can we work it out? Okay, I will go back to my information here. So here we are told that in the production levels, because remember, raw material issued for to factory, we are not given here, but we can see here they're saying total number of units produced and sold. We actually produced and sold 4,500 dresses. You get it? And then here there's information that they're saying 2.5 meters of fabric is used to for each dress. So for us to be able to find the actual meters of that actually resulted in 4,500 dresses, we will say 4,500 multiplied by 2.5. So this will give us the used. This is what we used. Okay, so we'll say here in our used 4,500 multiplied. Okay, multiplied by what? By 2,5, right? And then if I multiply the 2, my final answer, okay, let me see if I can expand this. Perfect. Okay, my final answer here is equals to 11,250. You get it? So this is what we used. And basically this is us saying these are where the units issued for production. You get it? Okay, so now we need to compare this with what should have been used based on what? The information that we have, the information that was given to us from in the beginning. So we have what here? We have the opening, then we have what? We have the purchases, and then we have the closing. So if we say this plus this plus this, we should be able to get the final answer, right? Okay, so we will go back to the transaction for the information. Okay, so we are looking for the information relating to the material used. Okay, so information for material used, you look at this information. Here we have what? The production levels, right? And then here we are told that this is the total number of units produced and sold. And remember, we are focusing on 2016, right? So this is 4,500 number of dresses that were that were produced in the year, right? And we know here in terms of the meters of fabric that is used usually for each dress. So to work it out now, finding the information in terms of material that was used, basically if we use this ratio that I was able to come up with, that we know that 2.5 meters actually makes one dress, right? Okay, so using this, we know that it's 2.5 meters is to one dress, right? Is to one dress, right? So here they're telling us that 4,500 dresses were made, right? If 4,500 dresses were made, and how many meters were actually used? So the meters that were actually used, it's going to be our x, obviously, right? So now to solve for our x here, we'll do what? If you cross multiply x multiplied by 1, obviously you get 1, right? And if you say 4,500 multiplied by 2.5, you get what? Okay, to make it easier here, so we're just going to say material used, and material used is what? Is 4,500 multiplied by what? Multiplied by 2.5. Okay, if you multiply this 2, your final answer should be 11,200. So 11,250 what? Meters. This is what was used, right? So now let's check this against what should have been used. To get that what should have been used, we will go back to our information. So in our information here, we have what? We have the opening balance of number of meters of fabric, right? And then we have the purchases, right? So if you say opening plus purchases minus closing, let's see what is it that you're getting. Okay, so we'll say 525. Okay, 525, right? And say, then we say what? Plus what? Plus okay, let me double check my information first. Okay, plus 12450, right? Okay, and then minus what? Minus the closing. The closing is what? Is 1475. 1475, right? Okay, and then we do what? We close our bracket. So the final answer here that we are getting is, let me see. Final answer that we're getting is 11,500. So we used this material, which is 11,250 meters, and we were actually supposed to have used what? We are supposed to have used 11,500, basically 11,500. So the difference between the two now is what? If you say this minus the other one, you get what? You get minus. Okay, you get a minus 250 what? Meters. So this is the loss that we have here. So just doing all of these calculations, you have your 5 marks. Okay, let's do the second one. Okay, so for B here, they actually say what? They say Gloria feels that the wastage is significant. Provide a calculation to support her opinion. Okay, so now we have what? We have the meters, 250 meters, right? So the 250, and then we say what? Multiplied by 2.5. 2.5 is what? Meters, right? This is actually to see how many dresses did we actually miss out on making, or how many dresses did we actually forfeit by having this wastage. So this is equals to how many dresses? Is equals to 100 dresses. So had we not had any losses, we were going to have produced 100 extra dresses. So you get what I'm saying? So at the end, in terms of this question, I cannot say this loss is significant or it's not significant. I guess it's up to Gloria to decide if she feels like this was too much, you get it, or maybe this is actually reasonable depending on the type of company or yeah, other circumstances. Okay, let's see if we can just go to 2.2.2. Okay, so here they're saying give 2 possible reasons for this wastage, and in each case give advice to prevent this from happening in the future. Okay, so here we just give like possible reasons. What do you think Gloria ended up having like 100 dresses forfeited that would have been made had she had no losses? So there are many reasons here. What you can say, another one, like an obvious one, you can just say that maybe here, the dressmakers are actually what? Are actually unskilled, right? So unskilled people, they actually tend not to be able to do things properly. So with their lack of knowledge and a lack of knowing how to do things, they end up creating unnecessary problems, such as what? The losses that Gloria might have experienced. So we just throwing in like things, and this is just like a guessing game because we don't have sufficient information. So the only way that we can say maybe her workers are not as skilled. So we can just say advice to give Gloria if ever her workers are unskilled. We just say Gloria must do what? Train her employees. Train her employees better, right? Better. It's up to you how you phrase it, but yeah. And then another one that you can give out, you can say what? Poor quality material. So if the material is not proper like quality, yeah, we are bound to cut it not properly because I don't know how I can explain it, but just try and make sense of it. And then the next one here, we can just say that it happens that sometimes we have things like off cut. Off cut, basically, it's more like when we're trying to cut the material and then happens that we don't cut it properly, or maybe we have extra pieces there and then suddenly off cut, and then suddenly we have like wastage. This is an unforeseen type of wastage, you get it? So we can actually, yeah, find other reasons here. We can say find other uses for it. If it happens that we have extra like unusable material, we can just do what? Find other uses for it. Find other uses for it. Like, let's say there are so many extra pieces. With the extra pieces, we can be able to create maybe I don't know, a mat or something. Yeah, you get it. So we're done with this question. So the next podcast, sorry, I'm saying podcast. Wow. The next screencast will be for our break even. So break even is one of the NBs, very important. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now we are working out 2.2.3. They say break-even point in production. So that's the topic for this question. So here they're saying we need to do what? Calculate the break-even point for the year ended 29 February 2016. So we are calculating what? The break-even point. Okay, break-even point. Oops. Okay, saying calculate the break-even point for the year ended 29 February 2016. Okay, so these are two things, right? This is actually one thing. So you know the formula. Do you know the formula for calculating break-even point? Okay, let's see if we can work it out. So we will just, okay, if you still remember the formula for break-even point, it's like you just say fixed cost. So it's more like fixed cost, right? Then divided by what? Divided by selling price. Selling price. So let me write the full word. Selling price minus what? Minus cost price. Right. Cost price, which is usually variable cost most of the time, but yeah. So just say minus variable cost or minus cost price. Okay, and then you close your bracket. So this is the formula, right? So now that we have the formula, let's see if we can apply the figures, because we have been given almost all the information that we can work with. So this should be easy for us. Okay, we will just go down there. So here we have what? We have the fixed cost. How much is the fixed cost? The fixed cost is 900,000 Rand, right? Okay, and then the selling price is what? It's 650. Remember, we are looking at what? Selling price per unit. Same as the variable cost. We look at the variable cost per unit. So we have selling price 650. We have variable cost, what is it? 350. And then we have fixed cost, which is 900,000 rands. Okay. So here we will just put in 900,000 rand. So 900,000 rand, right? Divided by what? Divided by selling price. How much was selling price? If you still remember, it's 650. Okay, then minus what? Minus 330. Okay, so you are more than welcome to stop the video and then just go through the workings in your calculator. Okay. Okay, ready? So the answer now is what? The answer is 3,000 units. So that's the final answer here. So final answer is 3,000 units. So this is our break even. They said we need to calculate what? The break even. Let's see if it's the break even point in rands or break even point in units, because that's also one other important thing. Okay, so here they said, okay, they didn't specify, they just said break even point. So we just came up with the break even point as per the unit. Okay, so now we have what? The second question here. The second question says, they're saying, explain why the business should be certified with the number of units made during the current financial year. So you need to do what? State 2 point. Why should they be satisfied with the break-even point, basically? You get it? So let's see if we can come up with the reasons. Okay, it's easy for this question. I'm not going to write it down for you, but you can just look at this here. So the break-even point for this year was how much? The break-even point for this year was 3,000, right? The break-even point for last year was how many units? It was 3,200, right? So last year they had a total number of units produced and sold, which were 3,800, right? But their break-even point was how much? It was 3,200. But if you notice the difference between their total unit produced and sold versus their break-even point last year, that was very close to this one, right? So yeah, this one from last year, their break-even point was too high compared to what? Compared to their unit produced and sold. So this was not good. So this was not good. Okay. And then here, this year now, there's an improvement. Though the break-even, like, you know, the smaller the break-even is, the better. Because it means what? We can now make more profit. Because it means what? The first 3,000 units that we're selling as a business, we're not making any profit from the 3,000. You get it? We will start making a profit for like the next units above the 3,000. So this side, they had to sell at least 3,200 units for them to start making profit. You get it? So this year, they're making more money. So this one here, this side is what? It's good. You get it? So now you just need to state reasons why it's good. So always do what? When you have questions like that, code figures and compare the 2 years. This year versus the other year. Okay. So I'm not going to waste time on this one. We are moving on to 2.2.4 in the next video. Okay, so this is the last question that we're doing. So this one here, it says what? It says that the direct material used to make the dresses is purchased locally at a cost of how much? At a cost of 150. Okay, I'm gonna use my pink. Okay, I have my pink here. Okay, the saying the direct material used to make the dresses is purchased locally at a cost of how much? 150 rand per meter, right? And then they're saying Gloria is considering importing the fabric. So they're considering and doing what? Importing. So you know that when we're talking about the word import, we are talking about what? Us as locals buying from people from outside. We're just buying from outside. Like, let's say, for example, they decide to buy the material from Mozambique or Zimbabwe or maybe even China. You get it? Okay. And then they're saying if we decide to import, this is how much it's going to cost us per meter. So basically, locally, we are going to be paying 150 per meter, while when we buy it outside, we are going to be paying 120 per meter, right? And then they're saying all costs included. And then they're saying if she decides to import the fabric, okay, first question, they're saying what effect will it have on the production cost of a dress? Okay, so if Clara decides to go ahead with the import, what effect is it going to have on like her production cost of a dress, just a dress? You get it? And then they're saying provide a calculation to support your answer. So this difference is, remember, we have what? Local, which is 150 per meter, versus outside, which is 120 per meter. You get it? Okay, let's see if we can work it out now. This is the last one. Okay, so to work it out here, I'm just going to separate my things, separate the numbers, and then to make sense with everything. So we have old cost, which is locally. I'm just going to write local. So for local, it's going to cost us how much? 150. You get it? Okay, 150. And then import, which is outside, obviously, right? Import is going to cost us how much? It's going to cost us 120, inclusive of any other cost that we might have to endure. while deciding on this method, right? Okay, so we have this. Remember, this is per what? Per meter, right? I'm just gonna write it like this, not per month. Don't forget, it's per meter. Per meter. Okay, so we have this out of the way. So the next step now is to figure out if I decide to make one dress. I decide to make one dress with the cost of the local cost, as well as making one dress with the cost of import. How much am I saving, or how much am I losing in this method? So the next step for me that I'm going to apply here is to do what? To say 150 rands, right? Multiply, because this is in per meter, right? Remember, we need 2.5 meters to be able to make up, we need 2.5 meters to be able to make one dress, right? So we say 150 multiplied by 2.5 meters, right? And then we get an answer of 375. You get it? Okay, so let's do the same thing even for this one down here. So here we say 120 multiplied by what? Multiplied by 2.5 meters. Okay, so we do the same thing even here, and then the final answer here is 300 rands. So okay, so if we produce if we produce one dress with the imported material, we are going to spend 300 rand to produce just one dress, while locally, if we decide to use the local material, we are spending 375. So the difference between the import versus local, the difference is going to be 75 rands. So if you say 375 minus, so 375, right? Okay, minus the 300. The final answer here is going to be what? 75 rands. So we are actually gaining 75 rands. So this is a good thing, right? What effect? So this is what? This is a good effect. Okay, this is what? Sorry, let me just label this as difference. Oops, okay, I've just messed up everything. Okay, so here we have what? Difference. Okay, difference. Okay, I am done with this one, you see. So the next step now, they're saying state two other consequences of importing the direct material. Okay, I just want to read the full question. I'm just going to go straight here. Oh, so they're saying what effect? So this first question, it required what? It required calculations. The second question requires what? It requires us to do a bit of writing. So they're saying we need to state two consequences of importing the direct material. Like, what impact is us like making the decision of using material from outside going to to affect, like what are we going to affect basically in terms of like our decision, because sometimes we make decisions individually, and then eventually you find out that our decision affect all other things also. Okay, so for this one here, you have to try, like I always advise people to never leave theory questions. Always try the theory question. You never know, sometimes you might fumble at the right direction. So the first one, you can just say that the biggest problem, as we know, of imports is the exchange rate. So the exchange rate tends to affect so many things, right? As you know, we have the issue of corona, and with corona intact and currently like we're struggling with it, a lot of people who are buying things such as their raw material from outside, they're actually affected, because like the last time I checked, I think the dollar is almost around 18 rand compared to the South African rand. Like the rand versus dollar is close to 18 rand. That's a lot of money. Remember, considering that's coming below almost like 12 rands. You get it? So the fluctuations of the exchange rate, it means what? The more it fluctuates, the more the cost might not stay the same. Although at this moment this person is paying 120, they might end up paying even more than that in the future, depending on the exchange rate. Okay, another one that you can say is you can say that the input cost may increase over time. So I've already stated that. Okay, there. Okay, input cost. Oops. Cost may increase over time. Okay, you get it? Okay, and then another one you can see, actually imports are not good, right? Especially for our economy in South Africa, as it does what? It kills local government. Sorry, I'm saying local government. No, it actually kills local businesses. You get it? Because it's more like supporting local producers, right? So if we decide to buy outside because of the fact that outside it's more cheaper, we're actually killing our own economy, killing others who are willing to produce and help us out. I mean, if there is a supplier here who's willing to supply us the fabric, why not just buy locally instead of buying up outside? Anyway, as a business, and as soon as you get into a business, you will have to make such decisions whether you want to buy locally or buy outside. Both of them have the good and the bad. You get it? Okay, so this was the last one. Thank you so much, and yeah, happy weekend. Cheers.